congratulations once again on winning the 15th Global Architecture and Design Award.
Thank you a lot. It was a pleasure to do it.
All right. So, Suzanne, I'd like to start with what was your initial brief that was given to you, and talk us through your process of developing this project.
Okay. As you know, this is a bank, so they had their very precise guidelines on what they want to achieve with this project. They also have global guidelines that we had to take into consideration, but that's not enough to create a space with a soul and something unique. What we do with our clients is start with getting to know them by a series of workshops. We ask sometimes really unexpected questions, like how do you describe yourself, and what would be the major features of the culture of the company, because obviously we are not trying to just to satisfy the particular taste. It's something that's supposed to be a representation of the culture of the organization, of the business goals. An office is a business tool as well. First of all, to create a sense of belonging and of purpose among employees, but also to express certain values to the clients. So this is what we concentrate a lot during the process. We try to define what we like to call the design of the office. Like it's 4,000 square meters of a business card. So you kind of need to, it needs to say the same thing as the values of the company are. So we asked them what the values are and how would they describe themselves. And what they gave us is we are traditionally modern. What that meant was that they, on one hand, obviously have a lot of tradition and history, and what comes with it is being solid, being trustworthy, being professional, etc. Anything that you can kind of, well, this is something that would be understandable or expectable in a bank. But what they also have, because they deal mainly with business clients, they try to be very innovative and invest a lot in technology as well. Tradition understood as solid ground and solid foundation, and modernity, which mainly was represented by the way the space was arranged. It's an open plan. It enhances collaboration. They have this really nice entrance area where they can do all sorts of events for clients, for employees. And the whole space was supposed to be very flexible. There is a lot of foldable walls. You can reconfigure it quite easily. So this is something that they wanted to give their new employees, especially that the office also is a recruitment tool. And they were facing a long process of recruiting a lot of people from tech industry. So this is something that they were put in the position of fighting for talents on a very new ground for them. So that was important. We used a lot of materials in the very raw and natural. There is a real hardwood floor, which is very rarely seen in office spaces. And they really insisted on using the real materials, as they also kind of, well, they represent this trustworthiness and being very solid in what they say. And so this was also a little bit of luxury.
Zuzanne, brief touching upon the materials as well right now. Okay, but before that, I'd also like to get an idea of the design of the project, right? We spoke about the concept and the ideas that you guys had in your mind. But barring that, I'd also like to get an idea of the design of the project, and also you told that modernity was in this project, but also a sense of tradition as well. So how did this project also fused that tradition and innovation, both two streams on a specific pedestal?
What we basically see as traditional here, it's maybe not very classic traditional style, as you see. Yes, you don't see private offices a lot, or something that we could connotate with an office for a banker. Yes, it's something more modern, and also very Scandinavian, because this is a Swedish bank, and they insisted on this as minimalistic as possible. style, and this is not very flashy, or it's just the less is more in their culture. So this is something that we also had to take into consideration, and using the materials that were native to Sweden as well. You have this timber cladding on a lot of walls. The reception desk is also made of the timber that is very specifically used in Sweden. These are the things that they recognize as their kind of aesthetic code in also their other offices. So this is the tradition part. But they also very carefully picked the building. In Warsaw, you have to know that there is not too many historical buildings because of the history and the fact that it was actually swept away to the ground during the Second World War. So a lot of buildings are new. You don't have this really historic buildings, but this one is built on a very historic site in the industrial part of Warsaw. That there used to be a factory of silver cutlery and things like that. So they wanted to keep this industrial look. So you have open ceilings with installations there. This very specific way of designing the glazed walls. So it's all kind of with these divisions. So it looks very industrial. They wanted to keep that. And on the other hand, have a space that is cozy and nice. So we had to use a lot of nice furniture, loose furniture, soft furniture. We worked on lighting that you can rearrange and have different settings. So this was very important for them to keep both the industrial feel and the elegance and the coziness. So this was contradictory, but we managed to kind of combine it together. So we had a palette of materials that we were supposed to use, and we wanted to keep it together with aligned with other offices that they have. And then we wanted to have this local touch, and since it referred to the pre-war Warsaw, the site, the building. We used those. When you see on the pictures in the kitchen, we have these really small tiles, and they were very often used in Warsaw before war, and it's very decorative, and it has this kind of comeback now, and
Exactly.
everyone
Nostalgia attached to
people
it.
recognize that this is this kind of tiles, so we use them as a local flavor of it. Some of the furniture is also Polish, so this is a lot of them is all the Scandinavian producers, but we wanted to have this little local touches here, so it's all very subtle, since this Scandinavian minimalism doesn't let us have it very very big. Well, let's say
But
maybe.
there was a conscious effort from your end to also use the vernacular materials or specifically local materials. We've talked about timber, Swedish
Yes.
timber, and some other projects. So there was a conscious effort from your end, right, to use those vernacular and local sort of materials.
Yes, very much so. In terms of, as I said, these tiles or some of the timber, as we said, the specific cladding that we have on the reception desk has been matched with the Swedish one, but we it's the same climate area, so it could be the same. But we have the real timber floor. These things are originally from here, and this is also we try to keep it that way in all of our projects for the sake of the sustainability and so that we don't ship materials from another part of the world if we don't have to.
All right. So, Suzanne, we've touched upon sustainability as well, right? When considering the materials that are used in the project. So, apart from that, how does this project also take nature into and also environment into fray?
In terms of we try to use the producers that use either recycled materials or materials that can be recycled easily. So this is something that we obviously always take into consideration as our values in our work, and a lot of clients go along with that. Here, this wasn't probably their first priority, but that's what we do anyway. That's how we try to choose materials in general. I hope that
Okay.
answers your question.
So, we've spoken about the nature and the environment factor involved in the project. Okay, but apart from that, when designing an office, art installation and furnitures are the backbones of interiors, right? So tell us about the art installations and the furniture pieces that make this project such a standout project.
I have to give a lot of credit here to the client because they really have brilliant taste, and they're really careful in choosing everything and making this look together exactly the way they want to feel there. So it was a pleasure to work with them on that, and also they really value art as something that is giving this added value to the environment, to the way people can function there, the feel. So it's not very often always also to see that clients actually are sort of curators for artists. So I think that on the pictures we can mainly see one of the sculptures. It's kind of quirky. It's this dog. There was specifically designed a space so that a person that enters the office, after a few more steps, they see the sculpture, and the lighting was designed around this so that they really put a lot of emphasis on that it can be seen. This is part of also their identity. They have quite an impressive art collection as a bank internationally. So that was something that they really wanted to see there. They also had some pieces from the because it's like it's not available anymore as a common good. It's something that I think they have been given by the building owner, pieces from the factory that used to be there, and it's very decorative because it's silver, and they are like platters or things like that. So they also had that and wanted to have this exposed in the conference room, so that it's a piece of history that they wanted to be in the space as well. And in terms of furniture, as I said, they had this immaculate taste in, in picking the pieces. And well, all the Scandinavian producers, they provide us with endless choice of really nice pieces, and it was carefully added, put together with lighting and everything like that. So this is this you can see in these breakout areas or kitchen or kitchenettes. But when we look at the workstations, the functionality was the priority. So they all have this height adjustable desks and things that just provide people with really comfortable and supporting them. It's a piece of equipment now, a desk. It's not just a piece of furniture. So yes, I hope that's what you meant.
So you, Suzanne, you very pertinently put in the initial part of the conversation how you also got into head of the client when talking about what do they need from the project, or what is the significance of the project for clients as well, right? Knowing how traditional the project is, the approach, right? So I'd also want to know were there any specific tools that you used in the project, or pieces of research that was taken into context to put together such a massive project?
Well, as I said, we start the project before we go into picking finishes and colors. We try to understand what is the story behind it and what do we want to tell by the space, because it's like a body language of what they want to say. So our role is actually to at some point translate quite abstract notions, like traditionally modern as we speak, or that we are usually we hear the things like we want to enhance collaboration, we want to be transparent, we want to be innovative, and how to do that. How to show it in an office. And so this is what we do first is to talk about this story and see what is the aim of the project, because as I said, it's impossible to satisfy all the tastes, because everyone has different tastes and you shouldn't even discuss. That's what we also know, that it's impossible to do that, especially with this client. It's we have to remember the differences in the culture and the Scandinavian culture. It's really important for them to work in a group there, and so that everyone agrees. So there were like endless discussions until we had this decision that everyone agrees on. And it's sometimes it's a long process. It takes time for everyone to have a say and to include everyone's opinion. And that's why we had this series of workshops first, and then what we do is to kind of translate it into a physical space. And how we also show it to a client is that there is no such thing as a natural environment for people. We don't live in a natural environment. Everywhere we are, everywhere we function is somehow designed, and it has an influence on us. And obviously we can also influence what kind of feeling we want to create, and by using the right lighting, texture, colors, it all has some implications in what we have at the end, what the result is. And some of these tools are quite powerful. We can completely change people's state of mind by using the right color of light, for instance, or textures, or how do they absorb or do not absorb sound. What is the feel of it? So we try to show to the client what do we need to have in order to achieve what they just told us that they want to do. So it's not only picking colors; it's using it as a whole story. And at the end, it's obviously we like to see the pictures at the end, but what is our priority is how do actually people perceive, how do they see this space, and they wanted to impress. We always hear that the first thing they want a guest to see and to feel is to be impressed. But we are really always struggling to find out should they be impressed with, because it's quite easy to say, oh, it has to be impressive, but what exactly do you want to show? And they wanted to have these guests feeling really welcome. There is this little bar with a coffee machine and a barista that serves coffee. So the first thing you actually smell nice coffee, which is not on the pictures really. Yes. And how are you being welcomed, and what the whole process of coming in looks like. So we have this massive space that is quite impressive, that they actually can afford this kind of space that that is just for the welcome area. But the other thing is that they wanted to show that it's elegant, but it's also calm, and it can be very intimate, because not all of the clients want to be seen by others. So it was a combination of this elegance and then modernity, understood as something fresh, and an office that could be compared to offices of, I don't know, tech companies that they had to fight for talent with.
You just gave us an idea about how mammoth of a task it is to be involved in decision making with clients, right? How tough it is. So how important do you consider the art of persuasion is for designers and architects?
Uh, Sometimes I feel like it's the most important, because what we are, and I really believe that we have a very bad fame as architects, as having a big ego, and being creators, and having everything thought through in a different way, and trying to challenge other people's ideas. But what I believe is that we are not really artists for our sake. We are more of like guides. We have, the process takes few months. Sometimes it's even longer than that, because if we do the research first, sometimes it's a year, that we accompany the client through all these decisions, that they don't have to know a lot about the process, and that's what they have asked for. On the other hand, they usually have other tasks. It's not their main thing. And very often the person that is really responsible for the project has nothing to do with architecture, so they have no idea. And what we do is to really listen to them and try to show them what they need. Not necessarily is the same thing as what they want at the beginning. So to show where are we going with this, and there are few moments that are quite difficult, when they know they want to, they kind of expect us to have to show them things that they don't know what it is supposed to be until they see it. So we have to kind of read their minds sometimes, and sometimes just even persuade that it's not exactly what they should have, even though they have the initial idea, oh, this is what we want. But then, do you really need that? Is that what actually adds to your story? Is it in line with your values? Is it something, or is it something that you have just seen in a magazine, or something that is on trend right now, and things like that? So it's never one style that we prefer. Sometimes I'm being asked, what kind of style is your favorite? It's like, my next client's story is my style. So we use these tools for add to the narrative. We don't use it just because this is on trend, because these are getting really old really quickly. And it's something like, okay, another office like that. And it's just something that, if someone can see a lot of those, they see it, it looks like one big project. It could be like, they just don't. Yes, so that's the and this whole like wow effect that we usually are expected to deliver, and no one knows what that is. And if we do something like really flashy and really big, and in 5 years time it's going to be ridiculous sometimes. So it's not exactly the way to go. So it's so we see ourselves more like guides, sometimes therapists, sometimes someone the client needs to just lean on and listen to. And this is our major tool and major qualification. To know how to listen and how to translate it into design. It's a
Exactly.
relation.
One has to don a lot of roles at the same time, right? You've got to be you've got to have philosophy under your belt, you've got to have psychology under your belt, you've got to be you've got to be a good speaker as well, right? And there's a saying which is quite prominent in India as well. If you have, like, it is said by Anurag Kashyap, he's one of the Indian film director. So if you
Mhm.
have 20 25 creators sit in a room, probably architects or film directors, they won't be able to come up with a single project because of how big their egos are.
Yes,
They
there
will
is this joke of how to tell if there is an architect in a party, and then it's like he's gonna tell you. Yes,
so,
but I strongly believe it's not. It shouldn't be that. I mean, sometimes you have to kind of reverse the thinking of the client in their good, but it's that's why when you look at our portfolio, every project is very different, and it's something that sometimes we have to agree that this is what they there is a compromise between our ambitions and their needs, and we're not here to do it for ourselves. It's a space that they're going to kind of live in for the next 10 years, so it's something that needs to be supporting their lifestyle, and that's important.
all right, Susanna, that was a great conversation. Thank you for giving us a great glimpse of this project and also in your head as well, right?
Thank
Was a,
you.
was a a genuinely very great conversation, and we are delighted to have you once again, and we look forward to having you again in the future.